Hi, I am Jenny Madrano, and this is my Liberation Diary. So, this is a new video series that I am doing that is focused on reflecting and wrestling with what liberation looks like in all aspects of life for me as an individual and for our collective. In this video, I'm going to be processing the topic of health/wellness, specifically as it relates to my own personal body image and what I've been thinking of what liberation looks like for physical fitness and in regards to deprogramming fat phobia. So this is hopefully going to serve as a processing space for me because I have a lot of thoughts. I think about liberation a lot. I often dream about a new world where we have deprogrammed a lot of the systemic oppression that we have had to learn to survive in this really oppressive world. That's what I'll say for now. And I think about what would it look like for me to truly be free? What would it look like for you to truly be free? What would it look like for us to truly be free? I care about it a lot. That's why I am a life coach that focuses on individual and collective liberation. So I want to use this as a space to process and also to wrestle with some of the own aspects of liberation that I am struggling with. I want to practice vulnerability. I want to practice authenticity. I want to create conversation. Like, it would be weird if I end up doing this and it's just me talking to me. It's still going to serve the purpose of helping me kind of get my words out and start to get clarified on my purpose. But I would love to hear what you think, especially if you listen to this. My hope is that this longer form of content is going to be great for those who just, you want to cook dinner and listen to something and feel like you're talking with someone who's talking a lot. Or if you're just chilling on your bed and you just want to hear something that relates to what you're going through or struggling with. And I'm used to shorter form content that I've done on TikTok and Instagram. And I've edited kind of choppier. So this is kind of weird to me. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this unedited version or if I'm going to edit it in the future. Trying not to think too much, trying not to let perfectionism take over. I want to jump into this topic and just share with you some of the thoughts I've been having. So I think it's important to give you a little bit of context. One, several identities are important to this conversation and how I think about liberation when it comes to health and wellness, specifically physical fitness. I am a woman of color, Latina, and I think that has changed my perception of like what I'm supposed to look like. So I'll get more into that later. I am 31 years old, so that means a whole bunch of different things in society of what, like, this is peak reproduction time, right? So I feel like that is also on my brain. Not sure if I even want to have kids, but that's been programmed into me that this is the time where you need to be the fittest for that reason. And then also I am I would say smaller person. I know that I have privilege when it comes to size, when it comes to sizeism. I'm a size 8-10 right now, like closer to 12. And that is a privilege. In terms of what is mid-size, what is considered mid-size and what is considered fat, I'm honestly still a little unsure of those sizes. I think it's because it is so subjective that a person names that themselves, but I do know that there's this greater conversation happening around fat phobia and reclaiming the word fat. So I'm saying all that to say I'm speaking about this from a privilege angle, and I want to name that. And I don't know everything, and I'm going to say things wrong in all my videos. I'm going to say something that might make someone mad, and I'm trying to just lean into owning my experience, being open to being challenged, while also being confident in what I'm going through and sharing for however people might relate. So whether you look like me or you don't, I hope this is helpful in your own processing with how you're thinking about body image, physical fitness, and how it pertains to liberation. So that's one piece of context. And I hope to name some identities in each video, because as I talk about health in this video, career, relationships, spirituality, hobbies, and travel, I think if I'm thinking in the context of my own liberation and collective liberation, it's going to be important that I name privileged and oppressed identities so you get a better sense of where I'm coming from, and hopefully to help you think about your identities in the greater context as well, because it does change your experience. So, getting more personal here. Recently, I have been feeling less confident. And I feel like it has to do with weight gain. And so, trigger warning, if you struggle with eating disorders, if talking about body image or gaining weight or anything along those lines really triggers you and sets you in a spiral towards not loving yourself, I would not recommend watching this, because I'm going to get into that. And I want to get into it because it's what's real for me right now. When I think about liberation, I feel like less of it when it comes to health and wellness. And I love feeling physically fit. I love having an exercise routine. I love eating well. And when I was living in Denver, I just moved. Now I'm back in my hometown in Illinois, living with my dad, which is interesting. When I lived in Denver, over the course of 9 years, I really started developing healthier habits. I was the healthiest that I had ever been. I had tried out Whole30, and that taught me a lot about how different foods react, how my body reacts to different foods. I tried out yoga, spin class, aerobics classes. I did my own workout videos. I ran all the time. I walked almost every day because I love walking, especially with music. And I got such a rhythm that it made me feel so different. It made me feel this level of confidence that I'm not feeling right now. And so I'm aware that the 3 to 5 pounds that I've gained, which isn't even that much, but to me feels like a lot, is affecting my own self-esteem and sense of like showing up in the world, showing up in my business, showing up in my relationships, showing up on social media. Like, I'm just hyper aware of how I look. And this feels really vulnerable to share in my first YouTube video, because you're literally looking at me and probably like, oh, what size is she? And what is she thinking about her size? What do I think about her size? But whatever. I think I want to go right in there. I noticed just when I gain weight most in how clothes fit. So that's annoying to me because I love fashion, for one. And then for two, I'm realizing as I'm getting older, like I mentioned, I'm 31, I'm less agile. It's already happening. Like, I'm starting to have back issues. And so for the past week, I have been struggling with my back giving out. And what I've learned after going to a chiropractor that was extremely sexist, I made a TikTok about that if you're interested, is my discs in the spine, right? The one that's closest to the lumbar disc, that's like towards the end of the spine, it has less space. So typically there's like this much space between each disc. And so you can move around and like it's fine because it won't get pinched. But towards the bottom, it's less space. So it pinches when I move wrong. I think it was triggered because I was holding my nephew who's 30 pounds and just picking him up like nothing. And I probably wasn't doing it correctly. But anyways, this past week I've been feeling depressed. And I know it's related to this because I haven't been as physically fit or haven't been walking as much. I could barely move. It was that much pain. And I kept thinking, what have I done for this to be happening? How little have I been taking care of my body that this keeps happening in the span of 2-3 months that I've been here? It's happened like 3 times. This last time was the worst. So I started beating myself up of like, why don't I take better care of myself? Why am I not stronger? Why am I not taking care of my core? Which is what everybody will say when you have this kind of back pain, or if you have a herniated disc, which I'm not sure if I have. The biggest thing is core and like back strength, so that it won't pinch as easily. So I started thinking about that in the past couple of days. I've been really motivated. Like, okay, when I get back on my feet and I'm ready to go, I'm not messing around anymore. I'm doing my stretches. I want to do more of a routine in the morning that's simple, that includes push-ups, that includes sit-ups, that includes working on my balance and all these things that are prevention. And I also want to get into Pilates. I want to get more into Pilates and yoga. So the way my brain works, that's my personal conversation in my head with myself, right? Then there's the expanded conversation of liberation in general. So I started asking myself, what is the way that I'm thinking about my own physical fitness? Is that fat phobic? Like, am I being fat phobic by even being down on myself right now for the size that I am? And I feel like part of the answer is definitely yes. And so what do I do with that? How do I start deprogramming that? The other part of it is, what do I do with the part of me that for my liberation, physical fitness is really key to it, because I just love how it feels and I love feeling strong. And can I pursue my ideal physical fitness without being fat phobic about it? So these are some things that are happening in my head. And then on a collective scale, like, how do we all pursue physical fitness and support each other without being fat phobic? How do we just accept like whatever someone's ideal fitness is, that's what they want and that's great? Do we have to have these measurements of what the ideal physical fitness is for all humans? Is that even fair? Like, BMI is supposedly just a lie, or like not even an accurate measurement of health. So why do we still use that? Do we really need universal standards of physical fitness? That's the question I'm trying to ask. That and some other questions, and I want to look at my notes to make sure I get these. With each video, since this is the first one, I'm going to spell out more things. I want to end with some questions for you to consider, for anybody watching this to consider, either by yourself or with a friend or with a group of friends. It's just a conversation starter, and that's my desire. Can we have these conversations about what your personal liberation looks like and what our collective liberation looks like, and how we can move further there? So I want to ask these, but before I get to them, I want to make sure that there's no other, okay, there's a bunch of different details that I left out, but I'm like, how personal do I get on this thing? Because anybody can watch this. I do want to say I have progressed to a much healthier state in terms of how I even view physical health now than when I was a teen. When I was a teen, it was the early 2000s, and being a size 00 was the standard, was the goal, was the people on TV. And it felt so unattainable that I think it kind of spun me into a cycle of just hyper focusing on my eating, obsessing about it. There were multiple times where I tried diet pills of different forms to help me lose weight, to boost my metabolism. I've tried like almost every fast, almost every diet. I've done Jillian Michaels workouts. I've done, what was the one where it was like really hard that everybody was doing? P90 or something? I've done yoga, Pilates, like all these different things. And I'm proud of the way that has changed now, where I'm like, okay, I might be a little sad that I've gained a couple pounds, but I'm not at how I used to think, that I'm like 110 is the goal. Like, what? No. But I do find myself finding a different goal. Like now I'm like, what about 135 or 130? And so but then I ask myself, would that weight actually make me happy for my body type and my height? And then if I set that for myself, does that mean I'm setting that for other people? So I'm kind of like reflecting on the past to help me decide where I want to land right now and how I'm going to process through this to release any negative thoughts around my body image, to heal myself further and to come to a greater acceptance of my body as it is, and to pursue physical fitness out of liberation, not out of oppression. That's the biggest thing. Not out of fat phobia, not out of sizeism. So with that, I'm going to end this. And here are some questions to consider that I'll include in the description. 1, how do you wrestle with your own desire for health and physical fitness while also deprogramming fat phobia? 2, what is your ideal level of physical fitness? And how did you decide that ideal? What has informed it? Where did you even come up with that ideal, that number, that size, however you define it? 3, if you're able to maintain that level for the rest of your life, would you truly be happy there? Or is there a possibility that once you get there, you might be like, well, maybe I could just lose this many more pounds, or this dress size or pant size, or maybe I could decrease my fat percentage by 1 more. So would you truly be happy there? And 4, how do we find contentment in our physical bodies through all ages, weights, and sizes? That is it. This is my first liberation diary. If you listen to that, thank you. Would love to know your thoughts on this, your questions, your perspectives in the comments. And I hope to do some liberation diary lives soon. I hope you enjoyed this.